All right. The one thing developers miss when jumping into DevOps and how to fix it. This article's on Medium. I'll put the link down below. As a developer transitioning into a DevOps role, you might find yourself grappling with challenges beyond your comfort zone. Having worked in .NET and explored an Azure cloud ecosystem in both personal and professional roles, I learned that this leap often exposed hidden gaps in skills and knowledge. Key, networking and Linux fundamentals. Okay, it's interesting. One of the biggest hurdles developers face is a lack of networking and Linux knowledge. Networking basics like understanding subnets, DNS, and firewalls are essential for managing infrastructure and troubleshooting. Similarly, many developers have only surface level understanding of Linux internals, including storage subsystems and advanced bash scripting. I totally agree with this. This is something, even myself, networking is the one spot. Networking and databases are my two weak points. I know a little bit about networking, but not where I really should be for my experience in other areas. I totally agree. I'm interested in this. Bigger picture systems thinking. Beyond technical fundamentals, developers often lack a broader systems approach. Many focus on solving specific problems, implementing features, and fixing bugs, all critical tasks, but this often leaves little bandwidth considering larger system level questions. What happens when the application scales and the database hits connection limits? How can we deploy new code to production without downtime and seamless database migrations? What's the process for setting up and tearing down temporary environments? If I'm unavailable, who else can manage my responsibilities? Okay, these are all great questions for DevOps. Yeah, these are the core operational concerns, the domain of DevOps. Shifting perspectives from tools to operations. So developers often view DevOps as a separate role or for team responsible for managing all of these challenges. However, effective collaboration between developers and DevOps requires mutual understanding. While developers don't need to have all the answers, they should be aware of the kind of the problems DevOps professionals solve daily. So yeah, I agree with this. I don't really love that DevOps is its own team in a sense. It's hard because there's often two types of DevOps engineers. You either come from an IT operations, like a support engineer background, or you come from a developer. I came from a developer. I think having both is really important, but you really don't want to just put another wall in between. Like the whole point of DevOps is to be the glue between dev and ops. So if it feels like it's an isolated team, then you're doing it wrong. But this is how it's often feeling. Similarly, DevOps engineers benefit from having a basic understanding of the app, code base, and architectural design. This reciprocal knowledge fosters stronger teamwork and better overall outcomes. Bridging the gap, how to fix it. Learn the fundamentals, dedicate time to learning networking basics and Linux internals, practice advanced bash scripting to simplify automation tasks, think systematically, zoom out and consider how individual components fit to the larger systems, ask questions about scalability, deployment, and system reliability, collaborate effectively, focus on knowledge sharing, document your processes, build a culture of collaboration. In the end, development's just a tool, and operations are how you apply the tool to deliver value. Okay. Developers who take time to bridge the gap between dev and ops will not only become more effective collaborators, but also gain a deeper understanding of the system they build, ultimately making them more comfortable, making them more valuable contributors to their team and organizations. Okay. That was a short article. That was a short article, but I like it. Wow, that sun is bad. That was a short article, but I like what they had to say. I totally agree with a lot of this. I think that it's too often that people come from one of those sides, either the dev or the ops, and there's problems with both. I think you really need to do your best to get experience in both sides. Like I've shifted to a really heavy operations team right now, and it's not my favorite. I really miss the development side, but it's really good for me long term because I'm getting a lot of that core system OS Linux type of stuff that I need. So I think spending some time wherever you start, that's fine. Just spend some time on the opposite end. So, like if you're a systems engineer, go ahead and go build a front end application just to learn it. Learn a lot about HTTP requests. And then if you're already a front end engineer and you're moving into DevOps from that side, which is what I did, then I think you need to get into Linux. Like I went and set up Kubernetes the hard way by Kelsey Hightower, and that was so difficult for me the first time that I did it. It's still not easy, and there's some stuff in there that I'm not understanding. It's just copies of commands. But for the most part, I understand a lot more of what's going on. I understand what System D is now, where when I built that, I had no idea. I heard people talk about it, and I didn't know what it was. So I think I totally agree with this article. You guys should be taking the time to just make sure you're well rounded and that so that way you can fit into teams better and bridge that gap so that it's a lot more cohesive across rather than feeling like three separate. That way it's a lot more cohesive across the stack rather than feeling like dev passes off to DevOps and then DevOps is kind of the liaison between operations. I think that having DevOps embedded in both of those teams is much more effective, and that's how it's meant to be. And I think most people would agree with that. It just doesn't often turn out that way, unfortunately.